Mr. Ibrahim Hassan, who's a member of the House of Assembly in Bauchi State. He's supposed to be here representing the All Progressives Congress. We're yet to see him. But, you know, we're still speaking with Mr. Sowunmi. We're looking at the conduct of the 2019 elections. He says he believes that this is a fraud. The PDP presidential candidate has gone to court. But it would seem, I mean, now that not everyone believes. We're beginning to see it will seem some, is it realigning of forces? Like, you know, and it would seem that not a lot of your members are crying foul. So, for instance, you talked about the Senate president, for instance, in his own home state of Kwara. And some people have said that, you know, there was a movement which saw his ouster, for instance. You talked about over-militarization, but we've seen places where there was military presence, say in Akwa Ibom State, where they also alleged an over-militarization. They had raised an alarm over the presence of security agents, but Governor Udom Emmanuel was returned as governor.
Do you think I subscribe to the idea that you can do crime to favor me and you cannot do crime to oppose? No, no, no. If anything has gone wrong, whether it's in my favor or not, I don't care. I just want us to put it for what it is and take it to court. And back to Kwara. People don't understand that the malady or the challenge that men like Bukola Saraki have to bear in Kwara is their love of Kwara. It would have been inappropriate for Bukola Saraki, Senate President, to have allowed Kwarans to die just to prove a point that he's been hounded. And so probably he thought, maybe if the Kwarans were going to be allowed to enjoy this, their otoge, whatever they call it, for a while, and he was going to be the victim of that persecution, he felt that letting the Kwarans enjoy peace was far more important. It doesn't mean that we're not aware of all of the armed forces going there.
But if indeed, you know, the votes were robbed, I mean, if votes were stolen and it was fraudulently delivered and it was not the will of the people of Kwara State, I mean, don't you think that there is sufficient grounds to go to court?
What makes you think he wouldn't do? What makes you think he wouldn't?
We haven't heard him say.
You will hear eventually.
To say so. What we've heard him do is congratulate the person who won in the governorship elections. We've heard him do that. We've also heard him say, let the people of Kwara enjoy this movement. We've heard him say, let them have the next 4 years. It is good for the people to taste two wives, so to speak. And then let us see at the end of 4 years whether they still want this particular
The burden of being a humanist and an elder statesman sometimes produces that kind of outcome. If you look at the whole of the circle, you think Jonathan was not having enough ground to say, I'm going to go to court. He just simply said, the blood of any Nigerian is not what is ambition. And rather than put us through the whole crisis of destroying the country, he said, I'll let it go. That doesn't mean that by revisionist ideology of 2020 vision, which is always very clear, we didn't think that there were issues there. And perhaps now, with the benefit of hindsight, perhaps it was a mistake for us to have done that in 2015, because if we hadn't done that, if we had gone to court in 2015, maybe some of these issues that we're talking about with underage voting, multiple voting, lack of forensic, appropriation of numbers, the clannish belief that somebody has all of the figures in certain areas, maybe we would have discussed it.
Your party really does believe that you would have won this presidential election?
My party does not believe that we would have won this election. My party knows, and Nigerians know, that we won this election.
Let us start with polling units.
Okay.
Your candidate lost his polling unit.
Was he standing for councillorship?
No,
was he standing for councillorship?
The reason why I'm bringing that is this. If he did not lose it fair and square, shouldn't that have, you know, told him that, you know, perhaps...
Let me try and explain for the benefit of our listeners. Look, the 2019 election was basically a contestation between two ideologies. One was one that says life more abundance, let's fix Nigeria, let's make everybody feel united, let's be pan-Nigeria. There was another one that was fairly parochial, very ethnic, very medieval. And so even some small locations within the belly of the North, people have not gotten used to the concept of a restructured Nigeria, a better Nigeria, a private sector Nigeria. People can be punished for that. But the fact that it takes some people a longer period to understand that what is being proposed by Atiku Abubakar is in the better interest of everybody, is in the interest of peace, stability, and development, that does not mean that other people in other areas didn't do it. And I'll remind you, in 1999, in 1999, in spite of everything, Olusegun Obasanjo, then president who won, lost the entire place in the Southwest, and he still ended up winning the election. Would we say it's not valid? People make up their mind slowly. There are many reasons why you have a lot of...
The reason why I'm asking, I mean,
Yes.
I brought this to the fore is so that we can interrogate further,
Yes.
you know, the reasons why, because when you say that the entire election was a fraud, what happened in this polling unit, was it a reflection, or could it have been a reflection of what happened across the country?
It's like
the votes were really close there, but at the end of the day, he still lost his
It's
polling
like
unit.
taking a very minuscularly small sample and using it for the generalization of a diverse process. For you to say an election is a fraud or not a fraud,
yes.
what you'll be looking at is results from 119,973 polling units.
Very true.
And then you will then look at it and look, did it happen in one place or two places, or did it happen in too many places?
Because the electoral tribunal will be looking at substantial compliance.
Don't worry, they have enough on their plate. The petition before them is iron cast, and people are going to be quite surprised. I pray that legal journalists go there and go and monitor. Even the narrative in court will deepen our democracy.
Let's go to Lagos now and take some questions from my colleagues.
Mr. Sowunmi, you've made a lot of,
Yes,
talks as Atiku heads to the court. But I'm wondering, are you aware also that the results of the presidential elections is such that the lead of margin and the cancelled votes are different? In one case, you have the margin, and then the margin is about 5 million, but you have the difference not measuring up to that. What do you think will happen in court as Atiku goes to? Will he be presenting that fact?
Thank you. That alone is one of the reasons why one is screaming that who can allow this? The basis by which INEC is declaring some election inconclusive up till now has been that maybe the cancelled votes and the margin of victory, the cancelled votes were more than the margin of victory, so that they could then think that those margin votes could have substantially impacted it. And in the presidential election, they couldn't only live like that. Then the worst is that the biggest caricature of the 2019 election was that INEC rushed to go and present a certificate of return when it knew it was still going to go and do supplementary election in some location. Look. We will not do the trial on television. Neither are we going to do it on the internet. This trial is going to be tried before competent men of integrity, for we must have faith in our own institutions, and they will be brave enough to look at it. And then maybe they will be inspired by greater ideals of what exactly is the intention of the law and justice as the arbiter and the succor and the one that makes sense for people, so that people don't just go into self-help. That will be more than enough. So I believe that which you have alluded to is correct. It's one of the reasons why we're embarrassed. I can give you another one off the cuff. Look at Kaduna. The margin, the votes that was considered to be the accredited vote was a certain number, I think about 1.4 million. They appropriated to APC 1 million plus. They appropriated to PDP 814. And then there is a missing 429,000 plus votes that nobody can find, and nobody can wonder how are they able to get votes that is even more than the accredited vote.
If I can come in again, very quickly, Mr. Sowunmi.
That happen.
If you can hear me, let me come in again very quickly and ask you this question. The president just last week said that he wasn't going to be part of any process to assist governors, literally speaking, that are faced with the inconclusive state of elections in their states. But we've had APC governors go to the president. Yesterday we had it on the news at 10. And they say that the president has given them the assurance that going the legal way is lawful, which is in no doubt. Do you not subscribe to them going to court?
How can I deprive them of going to court when I myself am before the courts? Any man who has an issue with his election should go to court. That's why the courts are there. It will deepen our jurisprudence. It will correct the system. Let me give you one quick one. In 2007, had His Excellency Atiku Abubakar not gone to court to challenge the concept of government sitting down and coming up with a white paper, do you know what would have been happening in this country today? What would have been happening would have been, anytime you want to contest an election, somebody will concoct a white paper, put it on your neck and tell INEC to exclude you. It was because Atiku had the tenacity of going all the way to the Supreme Court. That's why we don't even have that kind of nonsense going on now. So sometimes when people go to court, you have to encourage the court to look at it. Nobody is going to declare himself president. Nobody is going to do anything untoward. Nobody is going to destroy our country that we want to lead. No. But we will go to that court and we will pray that the whole issues will be thrown up. People will be subpoenaed. People will be asked to come and defend themselves. People will defend their actions. INEC will be put on notice. And then the judges, and I pray God that they are the good ones that are there, will take a look at it all. And then they will come up with a judgment. And when the judgment does come, everybody in Nigeria will be the better for it. Because at least if in the minimum nothing else happens, some of the criminal, fraudulent, crookish activities that took place in 2019 may never happen again going forward. And if we don't go to court, it'll keep repeating itself. And let me tell you the danger with it. The danger with it is that right now I look at the whole country. Everybody seems to be saying, oh, I'm making all sorts of stupid excuses because it's convenient. What happens when the game becomes between one of the other bigger tribes from the other section and one of the tribes from the northern section, and such that the emotions of another set of people is now in conflict with the emotion of, you will have chaos. So the earlier we do it, the better.
Well, I'm glad that you have faith in the court to go there. And I think that also says something about our institutions. If you still have faith to go to the courts, because I know that you also talked about good judges, but I want to believe that most of the judges on the tribunal, if not all of them, are good people. And nonetheless, now that you have gone to court, does it also take away this narrative you talked about? I mean, this narrative of a class war of some sort, because you talked about, perhaps the presidential candidate, your presidential candidate, lost his polling unit because of this war. How do you think it will work out in terms of explaining what happened during the 2019 elections?
Let me tell you, so badly, what I did and why I came to the conclusion that there's a class war going on here is that it doesn't make sense that where people will be able to interrogate the agenda and the program of candidates, there is voter apathy, there is voter suppression. And then where you're going to have a mob of people running on the hysteria of only cliches and pumping up the fist, there's all of this. So you then ask yourself, you can take a look at the country, and you can go to the Bureau of Statistics, and you can go to the United Nations and all of the Bretton Woods organizations and say, where are those that are educated? Where are those that are a bit able to look after themselves? Where are those that are living well? Where are those that are sustainable? And then you can see the line, and you can see that it's almost as if everywhere that with an absence of no middle class are standing right, and the other part where it's only about the emotions and about unsubstantiated integrity claims are on the other side. And I speak with a lot of tongue in cheek. There is a class war going on in the country. The only way for us to be sure that we're going to be safe, all of us, is to ensure that people should vote and their votes should count.
Fine place to leave it. Thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Mr. Sowunmi is the spokesperson, Presidential Campaign Council of the People's Democratic Party. Sunrise Daily continues about now. Please stay with us.